Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always here at 2A News Now, you get your Second Amendment news straightforward and to the point with no BS added in. Before I start today's video, I just want to thank everybody who said they hope that I get well soon after I posted that I had to go to the ER the other day. And for those who don't know, it all really started last November when I started having pains in my chest and having a hard time breathing, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And I was told that I had developed blood clots in my legs and they had moved to my lungs and I had a pulmonary embolism. And I was in the intensive care for 3 days. And I was told that I would have those blood clots in my lungs for 6 months or more, and that my body would slowly break them down and would absorb them. And I was put on blood thinners to stop new blood clots from forming. About 2 weeks ago, my lungs started hurting a little bit, and they felt like they were tight, and I would have brief bouts of having a hard time breathing. And also my heart would start beating faster, and also get that shortness of breath just by walking up the stairs. And of course that's something that can happen when you still have the blood clots in your lungs. And of course I had the same symptoms after I got out of the hospital last November, but I really didn't expect them to come back. And so when I started getting them again, I went to the ER. And of course they did tons of tests, and the tests show that I still have residual blood clots in my lungs. And that's what they're saying the problem is. And I had a cardiologist come in, and he said after looking at all the tests, he really couldn't find a problem with my heart. So of course in the next couple of weeks I have a lot of different appointments with a lot of different doctors, just like in November. So once again I thank everybody for telling me to get well soon. It really does mean a lot. Alright, let's get on with today's video. In lieu of the ATF murdering Brian Malinowski, there's still more questions than answers. But one thing that has come out, that the ATF Special Response Teams, in a lot of people's opinions, are poorly trained and managed. I don't have a problem when ATF goes after the bad guys, career criminals that use guns to commit heinous crimes. And the ATF claims that they're always going after the bad guys. But we know also a lot of times they go after law-abiding citizens, and they're just enforcing Biden's hatred for guns. The ATF's so-called Elite Tactical Response Unit is called the Special Response Team, and they're scattered all around the country. And the ATF said they're proud of these teams, but they really shouldn't be when you compare them to other elite groups. And most of these groups take months and months. And in the military you have to go through a selection process even to get in. But evidently law enforcement is different. So let's take a look at the training other elite groups have to go through for training. FBI agents who want to join the hostage rescue team have to pass a new operator training school, which takes 10 months to complete, and a lot of them fail. Let's take a look at the United States Secret Service. Counter Assault Team, they have to undergo a 2-week selection course, and then a 7-week basic training program. Secret Service snipers go through a 1-week selection process, and then 10 weeks of a sniper training course. Those who want to be on the Border Control Tactical Unit go through a 3-week selection course, and then a 6-week training course before being assigned to a team. And then after a year, they can apply to join the elite national team. Now let's talk about the ATF Special Response Team. By comparison, it only takes 2 weeks, which is absolutely ridiculous. And what do the ATF agents call themselves after finishing the 2-week course? They call themselves operators. For those who've been in the military, would you consider the ATF Special Response Team, who only has 2 weeks of training, operators? I wouldn't. And of course when they first joined the police force, they had to go through their original training. Now it probably makes sense that law enforcement so-called elite units will require less training than military elite units. But like I said, only requiring 2 weeks training to become an ATF Special Response Team member is ridiculous, and it's absurd. According to the ATF, the Special Response Team 2 weeks course is an intensive program. Ooh, an intensive program. During that time, they learn specialized skills, such as marksmanship, so they can shoot people in the head, how to use numerous weapon systems, individual and team movements, tactical medicine, chemical agent deployment, use of less lethal weapon systems, which they didn't use on Brian Malinowski, armored vehicle operations, surveillance helicopter operations, and operational planning, which was poorly done, that caused the life of Brian Malinowski. And it's even been said that the ATF Special Response Team won't allow anybody to join from the FBI's hostage rescue team. I've said his name numerous times, but the ATF Special Response Team agents were responsible for apprehending Brian Malinowski. And we all know what happened there. And we also know these so-called operators didn't have any body-worn cameras, which would have showed us exactly what happened. Isn't that convenient? And like I said earlier, I understand that they need a unit like this to go after criminals that are violent, that use guns in crimes frequently, and gun runners. But a 2-week training course to become a so-called elite operator is downright ridiculous. It's very obvious that the Special Response Team members need more extensive training, and that goes all the way to the ones that do the planning. Brian Malinowski should still be alive, but one or more people decided to take him down in his own home, where most likely he had most of his firearms. And since we haven't heard anything from the ATF since this has happened, most likely Brian Malinowski thought somebody was breaking into his home, and he was defending his home and his wife. I blame the planners, who should have stopped him either on his way to work or on his way back home from work. Or what they did recently to a guy in South Carolina, they arrested him at his job. And that's another story altogether. Because the guy they arrested there wasn't the guy they were looking for, and they said they had been doing surveillance on him for over a year. They arrested the wrong guy. So please let me know in the comment section, how much training should the ATF Special Response Team have? And I know a lot of people will say none because they shouldn't exist. And once again, I appreciate everybody's get well wishes. I really do appreciate it. And also, I really do appreciate everybody's support with the channel. You guys continue to crush it by liking, sharing, subscribing, and hitting those post notifications. And I'm very grateful that you do so. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.